Welcome to another episode of Gate 7 International by the fans for the fans. I'm Costa. I'm joined by Labro Sirmos, who's checking in from Greece, back from the beach. Inside story, Labro was actually going to ditch me and let me do this show alone because he said an hour in the taxi and the sun and the heat in Athens was too much for him. Is that more than dealing with three kids running around the house in the heat in Brussels? I don't know. Maybe the fans have a view on that. Check out the comments already going off. Some people are, they're livid here. It's like, look at my eyes, DC. These guys never on time, he says. And Jonas Madsen rightly points out it's a Greek show. It would be weird if it was on time. Labra, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Like you said, I went to the beach today, spent the whole day out. I'm overheated. I have my bottle of water. I took a cold shower, but the traffic coming from the south of Athens to the center on a Sunday night is so bad. Never again. Never again. The beach and water was pretty bad as well. We kept driving south to try and better water, but it was a little vromico, let's say. But it's all good. We had nice food. Everything's good. I'm in Athens. I'm hydrated, ready to talk about Olympiacos basketball. And
that bottle looks extra chilled. Like you can see the ice.
I went to the kiosk. I went all the way to the back of the fridge. I was like, so
old school tricks. Big up to Gus Drax as well. The music that you hear, the intro music on this show that you hear, it's by this fantastic hunk of a man. Gus, thanks very much. Again, big ups to Gus Drax for the fantastic intro. It's our honor and our pleasure. Great to see lots of you tuning in already from different parts of the world. Let us know where you're writing us from, where you're listening from, whether it's in Greece, what part of Greece, whether it's Australia, US, Germany, Central Europe, wherever it is, guys. Like, drop it in the chat there. Always great to see where you guys are chiming in from. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to hit that button, hit the bell as well, so that you get notifications for whenever a new episode is up. We go live every Sunday. Got some cool content coming up. We've told you before about interview with someone from inside the club, some amateur sports reps of Olympiacos as well. So keep up to date with Gate 7 International and everything that's going on around Olympiacos. Well, it's 2nd of July. The transfer window is officially open since yesterday. But I thought we'd start today a little bit differently. Normally dive straight into football. It's been a big couple of days with the basketball team, in particular with news that Sasha Vezenkov finally made the decision. He's going to be moving to the NBA to play for Sacramento. Labro, you're quite into basketball. Me too. So I think let's take the opportunity, because I think this is very much on the mind of all Olympiacos fans. What's happening with the team? Vezenkov off. What happens now? Sloukas having a big meeting tomorrow to decide whether determine whether he stays or whether he leaves for a second time. What do you make of the whole Vezenkov thing? Like, do you think he can cut it? Do you think he can hack it in the NBA?
I think he can. I think I also think Sacramento is a really good team with Fox and Sabonis pick and roll. I think also they play a very clean tactical type basketball. It's not really, typical NBA one man dominates. There's quite a lot of movement, passing, shooting. So I think he'll get a ton of looks for three. They'll probably play him at the 4, Sabonis at the 5 at times. And just use him as a spacer. And I think for him, it's a good opportunity as well. Sacramento, let's say he was going to Houston or Charlotte, let's say it would be bad. But I think Sacramento has a strong base. They had a good season last year. Mike Brown is a great coach. I honestly, since the beginning, I thought it would be a mistake if he didn't go. I know that's hard to hear for Olympiacos fans, but I think Vezenkov is gonna have a good experience. Maybe that's gonna come back to bite me, but the type of play, the passing, the 3-point shooting, um, and the players around him more, also having Sabonis as a European guy to help him out a bit. I think it's a good environment for him to excel. It was sad, of course, to hear he's leaving Olympiacos, but I can't blame him. I can't be mad at him. I can't anything because I think it's the right decision. And I think now is the time at 27 to give it a go. So
Yeah, I think, when the opportunity comes calling and you're at that age as well, I think if he decided to say no and, go with his heart as opposed to go with his brain on this one, then, maybe he regrets it later on, but at least he's going to take the plunge now, and I think it was now or never for him. And in all honesty, my reaction to it was also, I mean, I won't say, I was happy, but I was happy for him. I think he deserves it, but also just in general, I feel confident with the state of the organization in the basketball division, the coach. I feel confident that we'll find a way to not necessarily like replace him, but we'll find a way to manage and adapt to all these challenges, or the challenge of losing him. So no, you're right. I think from what little I know less about the NBA than you, but from what I've heard, it's a team that likes to move the ball. They play more a European type basketball than an NBA.
they
Like they
do.
don't they
That's a
don't play
fact.
isolation all the time. Let's say like there's good
Not at
ball
all.
movement, spacing, and Mike Brown came to see him. I think a number of times, if not him specifically, but he sent people to watch him during the playoffs against Fener. They had staff at the Final Four. So no, I wish Sasha the best of luck. He signed a three-year deal in the end, around $20 million. It's been some talk about the offer not being very far from what he would have got if he stayed in Greece, but we've also put out on socials that the US tax system is quite complex. Maybe you can speak to this more than I can, but if you have a good accountant, he's going to be making a fair bit more than he would have here. I think we were looking to offer him 2.5 million a season net for 4 years. Some outlets were saying, but still, at the end of the day, the decision's not motivated solely by money, but by the great opportunity that's being put there in front of him. You got anything else to say on that?
No, I think that's right. I think it's a good opportunity. It's a playoff team too. It's not like again you're going to some shitty team that has a good he has good infrastructure, new stadium. They have a strong fan base in Sacramento too. The team almost left for Seattle almost 7, 8 years ago, but they ended up building a beautiful stadium. There's a good energy. So I think that's right. And the stuff about the tax system, people were saying he's only going to make 3 million net. It's completely false. The American tax system is weird in a way where we have so many exceptions. Like if you're traveling, or if you pay this or you pay that, or anyway, I'm not an accountant, but I know he'll make way more than 3.5 million. The teams provide the players with accountants who do this stuff. And there's tax loopholes. If you guys follow any American politics, it's constantly like this, it's not like in Europe where you receive your salary and the tax is out and that's it. It's every March, basically, we have to do tax season where you file taxes and your accountant tries to take some money back that the government will pay you. And when you're making the money, when you're making that money, and you have a good accountant, you make the money back. Trust me, this is the big debate in the US. Rich people don't pay as much taxes as maybe they should because we have all these loopholes in the system. But regardless, I think it's a good decision from his part. I wish him all the best. I'm going to be following him and the Kings this season. And another thing to note is I've been reading a lot that a lot of NBA teams are looking for EuroLeague tested players this year. In the US, we have a bit of a backlog of college players because of COVID. Usually in the US, you go for 4 years into college. Because of COVID, because of some other things, you have guys who are about 24 coming out because they had to stay a year extra or another year. So you have college players that are around the same age, maybe a bit younger than some tested, players in college. So you saw Misic leave. I saw Eddie Tavares is maybe negotiating a contract. You see Dante Exum, who failed pretty bad in the NBA, is heading back. There's a
Dallas.
demand, right? There's demand right now in the NBA for guys who've played in big games, who are a decent age, and these aren't minimum contracts. If an NBA team is giving you $8-9 million a year, that's above the mid-level exception. You're eating their cap space. For a player who's never been to the NBA, that's a big freaking risk. Like, they're not giving him the minimum or $3-4 million. They're giving him money. For example, Alex Len, who's been 10 years in the NBA, center, went to Maryland, first round pick. The Kings brought him back on a minimum deal. So it just shows a lot of NBA guys are. An example, Russell Westbrook got a 2-year, $7 million contract. Vezenkov got 3 years, $20 million. I know different stages in the career, whatever, but just to show you that it's not a joke contract. It's not a joke, right?
NBA teams, they're taking EuroLeague more seriously, like the last couple of years for sure. And you look at, okay, Vezenkov was the MVP, regular season MVP this season. I think last year it was Mirotic. We're going to talk about him in a little while.
Yeah.
Misic, obviously, I think he was the Finals MVP last year.
He tore his knee up last year, right?
Bravo. Yeah, that's right. Misic,
and they're still giving him a big contract in Oklahoma. So
exactly. So he's gone to Oklahoma. Tavares is wanted by Portland Trailblazers, but I heard like Damian Lillard wants out. He wants to move. He wants to go to the Heat. He wants to go to Miami.
But they have a shit trade package, so it doesn't make sense. But maybe they'll find a way,
Meanwhile, Menze says greetings from Dubai. Let's go Olympiacos. Fantastic. I think this is a new sub. Thank you for joining, my friend. So who replaces Vezenkov? Okay, let's not beat around the bush. So the name's been out already, and some people are already saying Nikola Mirotic is going to be replacing Sasha. What do you think of this? I mean, we all know. I think we all know who Mirotic is. So Montenegrin, but Spanish international. He's played for the Bulls, played for the Bucks. I think he played for the Pelicans too, if I'm not mistaken. But was a Real Madrid legend. Played. We all know what he can do. He can. I think for me, he's the closest thing to a Vezenkov replacement because of his shooting ability behind the arc. But they're looking at, the rumor is $3 million a season net over 2 years. I don't remember ever paying that kind of contract to a player. And let's not forget, we're going to be getting a $1.5 million buyout for Vezenkov. And that's split 2 ways between Sacramento and Sasha. They pay that to the club. So that's $1.5 million that we have to give salary wise, plus Vezenkov's contract, which is gone. What do you think about this?
No, I think Mirotic is. I liked him in the NBA. I think everyone in the US, if you ask them what they remember about Mirotic, okay, the NBA heads will tell you he was a decent role player. Got offered a big. I remember when he went to Barcelona, he was offered a big contract in the NBA, and turned it down to come back to Europe because I forget if he missed life in Europe. There was stories about this because I think maybe it was the Jazz or the Pacers, I don't remember now, offered him a pretty big contract, like almost $60 million over 4 years, and he said no. But Mirotic is Okay, I remember him for Bobby Portis breaking his jaw in Chicago. I think that's what most NBA fans will remember. Bobby Portis punched him in the face and broke his jaw in like 3 places. Um, but I I will also say about Mirotic, he's a good player who can make his own shot. Um, I look forward to seeing if he comes because Mirotic can make his own shot, unlike Vezenkov, in my opinion. He's good off the dribble. He can pull up. He's not like a Vezenkov was a fantastic player, but he needed ball handlers and creators around him a bit, I think. He's not someone who's going to take you off the dribble and create your own shot. So Mirotic, I think, can provide a bit of that late game. I'm going to take the game. I'm going to take the last shot. So I'm intrigued. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. No, I mean, I think we all know he's an elite shooter. That's certainly how I have him in my mind. Don't really remember much in terms of one-on-one going, shooting off the dribble, whether it was mid-range or behind the three-point line. But he's a big name. Obviously, I think as far as names go in the EuroLeague, I think he's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the 4 position. So the issue now, of course, is that he's trying to break his contract at Barcelona. There are financial issues there. I think they owe him. He's trying to get 22 million over the next 2 seasons, something ridiculous. So he's still under contract at Barcelona, as far as I'm aware. But there have been some the latest reports from an Israeli journalist that tweeted out that there have been conversations already, and this Israeli journalist is not the only one to make claims that Mirotic has spoken with the coach and that there could be an alleged, let's say, pre-accord in place, and that he's just waiting to get released from Barcelona. We have some mixed views in the comments about Mirotic. Good friend Lagis Gavalas. Mirotic is retired, doesn't know it. And then on the other hand, you've got Andreas Mitzi saying Mirotic is a great replacement for Vezenkov in theory. No doubt about that. Great scorer. Of course, at the end of the day, he has to sign first, and then let's see him on the court. There's a funny tweet as well from our good friend Manos, who's asking Labro, what will you be doing on August 10th? Sinus and Agadev said the form of the Servet. Do you want to play striker against Servet, Labro? We're going to come back to that because Labro actually lived in Switzerland, in Geneva for some time. And actually, Labro might have timed out, or is he still there? You're still there.
No, my Wi-Fi is not great in this room, so I may drop at times. Sorry, or in advance.
Yeah, no, I was just bringing up Manos's comment about Servet and whether you want to play centre forward on the 10th of August. Because
I'll be there. I'll be in Geneva. I'll be there for the game because I'm looking forward. I'm already booking a ticket. So
yeah, but he's asking you, are you ready to play centre forward on the 10th? Because it doesn't look like we right now.
Well,
we're going to preseason with Youssef El Arabi and
I do have a Greek passport, so for registration purposes, it works. I'm in.
Another one from Spain. Greetings from Alicante, España, from Bill96. Good to have you on the show, Bill. All right, so we talked Vezenkov, we talked Mirotic. The other big one is, of course, Kostas Sloukas. So we mentioned before that Sloukas is meeting with the Angelopouli, the brothers, tomorrow. This is a super divisive one. It's like I feel like a lot of people are pissed off with Sloukas. He's been open in the media about not being happy with his role. It's hard to find a good playmaker in Europe nowadays. Like, if you lose Sloukas, who do you go for to replace him? Galathis? Who's available on the market, like, to replace him?
You go for Dorsey and you run Canaan at the one who's.
But so that's the thing. Like, okay, I don't think there's any point us speculating whether or not he stays or not. We're gonna see tomorrow what happens. And yeah, you don't go for a like for like point guard. It seems is the answer, and they're gonna go for a two guard or a combo guard. Someone like Tyler Dorsey, somebody that has a Greek passport. Dorsey has a contract with Fener. Fener, who wants Sloukas. Would they let Tyler Dorsey go if Sloukas joins Fenerbahce? But then we all know that Tyler Dorsey's agent is apparently not really doesn't really like us. But for me, Tyler Dorsey played his best basketball under Barzokas. Clear for me. I'm still on the fence about Dorsey not as a player, but like his mentality. Is he going to come again and sign a 1-year contract and want an NBA out and then go and take a 2-way contract and drop to the G League and then be looking for another team again in 2 years or like year and a half's time? If that dude gets it in his head that he can be an elite EuroLeague player, I think there's something there. But otherwise, I don't know about your opinion, Labra, but when he was playing for us and when he played for the Greek national team in the Euro last summer, I saw a player who in the big games he didn't do what Kostas Sloukas would do in a big game for me, like hit a game-winning shot with the clock winding down. He did it in the regular season. He was dropping 15 points, averaging 15 points. But I don't know, man. I'm not sure about him. Like if his head's in the right place, like the mentality, if he can fix that. And again, I think the determining factor is he has to decide. It's over. Like the NBA dream is over for him. Like it's EuroLeague. Sign a 2-3 year contract, play, and become an elite player here. And you're still young. Like Vezenkov's going to the NBA at age 27, 28. Go later. If you've built yourself up, I don't know. Like that's my view on Dorsey and on Canaan. I just wonder if we lose Sloukas and we go for Dorsey, do you try to get somebody better than Canaan, like somebody that's more of a combo guard? I don't know. Those are some thoughts.
Yeah. Personally, I don't enjoy this media tour. Like, what even is this? Where he's going and he's talking to everyone about not being satisfied with his role. The guy is 33. The team almost won the Euro League. So what is his idea? Like, if he had a bigger role, the team would win the Euro League, would have won the league by more. Like, what's his point? The team is going so well. Is he really going to crash it all down because he thinks he's not getting the big minutes? I don't understand it. Personally, I like Sloukas as a player, but I wouldn't be upset with going with Dorsey, Cannon, Walkup, Goss. I think that's a solid backcourt. And if you take Mirotic, that's the guy you want taking the last shot. Him and Cannon are your last shot guys. So I'm saying to myself, okay, if Sloukas leaves and you bring Dorsey, I think it's okay. Personally, I think it's okay. And the attitude of going, the attitude of dragging this out, going for your holiday, then meeting with the presidents is such bullshit, like complete bullshit. You're holding the team a bit by the balls. It's kind of bullshit. I don't know all the facts, but it seems absurd to me. And the thing about Dorsey is people are upset about Vezenkov going to the NBA, but then you look at someone like Dorsey who's never going to make it in the NBA, and the guy goes and he says, I'm going to go. And I like Alec Peters as the backup for someone just made the comment. I think he's going to be so much better next season. You see that jumper, super clean. He knows how to play basketball. He's good with the fundamentals. Give him another year in the system. I honestly think the team doesn't need Sloukas. If you go for Dorsey, I think you're okay. But because Goss, I'm gonna be real here. I told you I don't like Kalathis. I also do not like Goss. I never really liked Goss. I'm not a huge fan of his, even back from when he played for Gonzaga. His jumper is mediocre. His playmaking is pretty good, but his 3-point jumper is pretty shit. So I'm a bit more cool on him. I know a lot of people do like him, but it's just a shame. Like Sloukas can stay and create a legacy and go win this team the EuroLeague next season, or be the captain and help it. So why throw it all away to go back to Fener? It's a shame to play 4 more minutes a game, man. Like, it's a shame. Anyway,
I agree with you in a sense that I think the media has been they've just found something there, from his comments, and they've tried to perhaps make it bigger than it is to make a story out of it. Some people are saying, like, Sloukas, now that Vezenkov's gone, you need to show that you love the team. And I think he showed he loved the team when he came back in 2015. I mean, they gave him a good contract. But, we were not in a good shape when he signed the contract to come back that season in 2015. Oh, no, sorry, 2018. So, I've also heard Barzoka speaking in the Sport 24 interview with Diamandopoulos, and he was saying, at the end of the day, all players have ego, especially like the big time players. They have an ego and they want to play more. They want more minutes. They want the ball in their hands. It's perfectly normal in that sense that he might come out and make comments in that direction. It's like that's what you expect from those kinds of players. But I keep some of the comments of Barzokas in that interview where he said, Sloukas is playing the same amount of minutes he was at Fener. And that was more than 3 years ago. He's playing the same minutes and he's 3 years older. And he might not be starting games, but he always ends them. He's always
he's taken the last shot how many times,
But he's always
I
on
remember in the
the
final,
end.
he's the guy who took the last shot. Even though, personally, if I have the last shot of the game, I'm not fucking giving the shot to Sloukas. I know he made the one in Fener, but personally, I don't like. Isaiah Canaan is. If there's 3 seconds on the clock, I want Isaiah Canaan taking a fadeaway jump shot instead of Sloukas. That's maybe bias on my end, but Sloukas is again, like I said, he's there at the end. When the big shot came multiple times, he's the guy who Barzokas draws the play up to take the big shot. So I don't get what we're talking about here about the role and bullshit. Like who's going to be on the court at the end of a game with the roster? Nigel Williams-Goss is not closing games out for Olympiacos next season. It's going to be Walkup. It'll be Sloukas. It'll be a mix of Papa Nicolau. You'll take hopefully Mirotic at the 4 and Fall, or you'll play small and do something different, right?
Three guards like Canaan,
Yeah,
Sloukas, Dorsey,
something like that. So we'll see, right? So it's like I don't get what he's playing at here personally.
Yeah, well, we're
Anyway,
gonna find out by the end of tomorrow. Exactly. So
he can go. Maybe he misses Itoudis or something. I don't know. Like, let's
oh
see.
God, don't mention that guy.
The best was when he brought out the laptop. Did you see this video from Turkey?
I did.
Fuck me, that was epic. That's like such. God damn
That's
it.
That's such a
That
Vazela
was.
thing. It's such a Vazela Panathinaikos thing to do, man. Just go out
Yeah. He's like, hold on. Do you see my Dell laptop here? Zoom in, please. Bro, what? What are you doing? Anyway.
All right. Well, we'll find out what happens with Sloukas tomorrow. That's obviously going to have a big bearing on what happens with the roster. And 5th of July, by the way, if the team doesn't want to keep Isaiah Canaan, or for whatever reason we don't want to keep Isaiah Canaan, we need to tell him before the 5th of July. On the 5th of July, his contract gets automatically renewed for another season. If you ask me, I think Isaiah Canaan's he's deserving of a spot on the roster next season. I think his attitude was fantastic at the end. Like normally an American player that would be dropped from the Greek squad, like he was, would get up
Such
and
a
leave.
mistake as well. Such a mistake.
Okay, that's a different discussion, but
Another can of worms. But I personally I like Cannon as a player because he can make his own shot. Like fuck it, you're down 3. Like the guy's got the ball, he's in a pick and roll, and he can just boom, he hits it.
yeah.
And sometimes you just need that. And sometimes he'll go cold, and that's fine. That's when you play Goss. That's when you rotate a bit. But that ability to heat up and hit big shots, it's important. And his defense has been really good.
Big man. He's
He was
got
not known for that in the States. Like that was his main thing. It's like can't play defense.
no, but I think in the post when he's playing, even when they mismatch him, he's a strong guy. Like he's got a low center of gravity and he's quite muscular. But I think Isaiah Cannon really, got into the hearts of the Olympiacos fans towards the end of the season. It was, I think there were a lot of Isaiah Cannon haters during the season, actually, and when we were getting to the final four, before the final four, the playoffs, and I mean, in the final, I think he dropped 16, 20 points, didn't he? It was really
that's when you need him, right? Like
exactly.
that's when
Like in
you
the
need
big
him.
games, in the big games, he showed up, and like when we played Fener, there was a bit of a Dorsey versus Cannon vibe going on, and I think for me, he clearly won that.
He
Clearly
smoked
won
them.
that.
What are you talking about? He was awesome in Game 5. And that's the thing. Don't do this shit. Do not give up on the player after a year. Like give him another year in the system and watch him fly. Like watch him fly.
Peters.
It's
What
the
you
same
said
with
about
Peters.
Alec
It's the same with Peters. It's the same with Peters. Watch him next season. Maybe I'll eat my words and you'll come back to this, but I feel very confident because his fundamentals are very good. Like I'm confident he'll be good. And Vezenkov, so I guess his role will be a bit bigger. So let's see.
Andreas Mitzis wants Evan Fournier to finally join Olympiacos. Don't know if
In my
Evan
opinion,
Fournier
that's a bit of Marcelo signing. Has anyone seen Evan Fournier? He's like a dead carcass in New York, man.
Is he still playing for Nick?
Yeah. Well, he's not playing, but yeah, he's in New York. He's like a dead body, man. They like wheel him out. He's eating budget. What is this guy Evan Fournier like?
Oh my god.
Maybe he'd be good here. I don't know, but like he doesn't play anymore. He doesn't play.
Yeah. Well, anyway, moving on, guys. We're going to move into football now. If you haven't liked yet, more than 60, 70 of you watching us live right now, hit that like button. It really helps with the algorithm to spread the show around to different viewers. We want more Olympiacos fans from all over the world to join the community. So please do hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe if you're joining us. Actually, a lot of people that watch the show aren't subscribed. We've seen from some of the data. So, guys, if you like what you're listening to, show some appreciation. Subscribe, hit the bell. Don't miss any future content. And with that, let's move to football. I feel like what's happened in the footballing world. And hang on, I want to bring up a comment which is a bit provocative. Not this one, another one further up. From NP, I think this is a new sub. Thanks for joining, mate. Do you think Olympiacos official reporters are angry they don't get any leaks from the team, and that's the reason they complain Cordon is slow? We've talked a little bit about this in our group chat, haven't we, Lab? Not necessarily that Sport FM or any Olympiacos journalists are angry or whatever. I just feel like one thing we've definitely said to each other is that this guy, this sporting director, he likes to work in the shadows. He likes to keep it tight in a closed circle. And the information about transfer targets and what's going on isn't getting out to the press, and it's I can understand it might be frustrating for reporters. Maybe this is a good thing, but it does make it boring listening and reading the same stuff every day. I'm not sure like these names that we're reading are real, like Darder, De Frutos. We're going to pay 5 million euro for De Frutos, a guy that's played in Segunda for the last 2 seasons, and Darder, who's worth, he's got 50 million release clause normally. Yes, it's down to 10 now, and it might go up to 15, but this guy's wanted by half of La Liga. We need players now. And Cordon said the best deals happen at the end of August, but we need players now. Let's air it out here live on the show. How are we feeling about this? The team's going to preseason training in 3 days. They're flying to Austria. We haven't signed any players. The media's been going crazy hullabaloo about us going to Austria with a centre back, a new midfielder, and an attacker, and no one's there yet. What you got?
What do I got? I think it is frustrating to not see sign-ins, or even rumors of sign-ins. I feel like Nikos Kotsis is like gone out of business this summer. He's like, shit, he's like, no midnight tweets from me, which is disappointing for him. But I think Cordon showed his cards a bit about this. August is the best month. That's when the transfers happen. When I'm reading the situation, what I'm trying to see is, I think they think the body of the team as it is now is good enough to get them into Europe. And so they're going to put the pieces together and just try to push that into Europe, Maybe they'll sign 2 people before Servette, 3 people, but I don't think it's going to be a mountain. I think what the goal here, if I'm reading the situation, I think they're going to go Pascal X in goal. They're going to go Rodinei. They're going to go Doy and Ba, given they're their superstars with the jersey. Jesus fucking Christ. Your club's in the shitter when Ba and Doy are your freaking shirt, like the leading salespeople for the shirt. No offense to them. Anyway, Reabchuk, and then I think they'll go Buhalakis Huang, and then whatever up front. I think they think, which is correct, that the current body of the squad is good enough to get them into the Conference League, at least.
Yeah.
And so they're saying, let's get into the conference. Let's go with this body. Let's put it together. Let's gel it, and let's roll these guys out. Because what some people don't understand is Servette is a very mediocre side, like very, very average side. Crevelli, who was the starting striker of Bakashir a few years ago when we played, was like one of the bigger signings of Servette last year. He's like 4 years older, already was quite old in Turkey. One of their big signings this summer was the backup left back of Aris, Maziku, I think his name was. So Servette is a team, let me put it this way, the fans, they don't get more than 4,000 fans in the stadium. People in Geneva don't really care about the football team. So the goal is here, like let me put it this way, Pep Biel would be one of the best players that has been into Servette in 20 years. Fortunis would probably be one of the best players in the history of the club. They had Karambe at the end of his career. They had some good, but in the modern history of Servette, like, this will shock some of you, but like, some of these players that we have would be some of their best players in years. They got into Europe this season in the Champions League because Basel had a bad year. Zurich, who won the title, had a bad year. Young Boys ran away with the thing and with the title, and it was a battle for second. It was basically neck and neck till the last day, and they got it last day. But when I tell you Servette is not a great team, that's the fact of the matter. So the plan of the team, I have no information. Clichy left as well. And what I'll tell you as well, when I would go to Servette games, I would go to 6 or 7 a year the past few years. Clichy was such a joy to watch still at 37 years old. Fantastic player. Even when he played, I think he played against Olympiacos as well for Başakşehir. I don't remember, but anyway, the idea is let's build a strong body and let's go for the qualifiers and then let's get the signings in August. We don't want to overpay for shitty Spanish players, which are going to cost a lot in July, just to sign them. So I think that's the plan. Also, you need to remember that the Greek transfer window ends September 15th. The amount of deals Olympiacos is going to cook with Cordon September 1 to September 15 is going to be massive. Like, remember, we signed essentially Bakambu, James was Marcelo as well, because of this weird transfer window where all the windows are closed in Europe except Belgium, Turkey, and us. So if you're in Europa League and you can present a project, some very good players can be signed because teams are desperate, etc. So my reading of Cordon is he says, let's make a body. Diego Martinez is a good coach. We have it there. Maybe we sign a striker. Maybe we sign a 6. But that's it. And we try to make a team. We try to build the relationship, build the back line, and go for it. That's my reading. I don't see any other explanation for this, because I think, if I'm being honest, you can very easily pass Servette with the team you have, and then you're playing with house money in the playoff. So I think that's if we fail to pass Servette, Diego Martinez is going to be in so much trouble because it's they're significantly worse than Haifa was last season as well.
It's going to be Victor Sanchez all over again if we get knocked out.
I promise you, if Olympiacos gets knocked out in a stadium with 3,000 people in Geneva, it can't happen. It can't happen. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I agree with your take. We haven't. I can't. So just the names are bullshit to me. Paul Akuaku, like an African player with no European passport, and I was looking at it the other day. We have 9 foreign players in the team. Can't name all of them now, but Bar's going to play, or Cisse is going to play, or both. Will Agibou Camara have a role? Will Algassim Bar have a role? Rodinei is a foreigner. Ramon is a foreigner. There are a lot of foreigners in the team, and are going to go and buy more African players, and that's an issue like that we have in the squad. Yeah, let's not try and put that aside. That's why I think that not a lot of the names we're hearing are just absolute bullshit. And my big worry is up front.
That's the problem.
Up front, you can maybe go and beat Servette with El Arabi. But from what I have understood from this coach, he's a defense begins from attack kind of coach. He wants to play a high press. In all the teams he's been, he wants his striker to press the defenders into the corner, and he wants the team to push the team into the corners. So you can't do that with Youssef El Arabi. Even if you gamble on Algassim Bar isn't coming back from AFCON until after preseason in Austria, because Guinea's got to the semi-final of AFCON under 23. So he's out. We've literally got El Arabi and a 16-year-old wonder kid, Babis Kostulas. Or what? You're going to go with Pep Biel as a fake 9? I asked Ari on the show when we were talking about the manager, like, can you see this happening? Ari said, no, I can't see that happening with Biel. Biel is going to be the 10. And we know that there have been conversations between Cordon and Martinez, and they want to put a big onus on him. They want him to be the player that we signed last year. We
Of
want Pep
course they
Biel to
do.
be that player.
He's a
So
Spanish guy. He scored the goals last season. He had decent statistics last season. He he can't not be the guy, you know? If you're Martinez and Cordon, you know this guy BL. You speak the language. You can call him into your office and be like, "Look, like you're our guy. You're our guy," you know? And I think that's probably what they did. I think they probably told him like, "You're gonna be the guy. We need you to be the guy." And yeah, we'll see. But
yeah,
they need a striker, man. They need a striker before August 10th. Costas Llanos made a good point. Costa, good evening. Um, yes, they need. This is the difficult part. Do you overpay for a striker or sign a mediocre striker who in September may be useless? Let's say not useless, but you know what I mean. When you can sign a Bakambu in September 5th because he's on big money and Marseille is freaking out that they can't offload him, and then you have Guerrero there from July. You're in. Does that make sense? You know.
let me. I mean, first, let me read Costa's comment for those that are listening on
Go
audio.
ahead.
Costa Llano says, "I think the main reason transfers are taking too long is because the new manager signing took too long. The first qualifier takes place August 10th. Plenty of time. No way we won't have one signing then." Also, Costa says, Olympiacos don't sell key players during qualifiers. Unlikely players like Huang and Biel will be sold soon. There are some rumors, or there were rumors about Biel being wanted by the likes of Mallorca, some other Spanish teams. And Huang today, I've been reading, there's a lot of interest from Bundesliga, Freiburg, Eintracht. Eintracht might sell their striker, the French international, and they might get a lot of money. So they
Marcus Thuram, or
no
is
no
he playing for?
no Nwani, I can't remember his name.
The one from the World Cup. Is
Yeah,
he?
yeah, that one. So they might get a lot of money for him, and they may be willing to pay what we're asking, which is close to 15 million, is what I've heard. But again, I don't see Huang being sold. Certainly not in the qualifiers. I think Costa's absolutely right. But if they're going to make one signing, I'll say this: Colomwani, thank you, Lagis. If we're going to make one signing before we go to Austria, and I know that's literally the day after tomorrow, Wednesday, you need to sign a striker. You need to sign a striker. Hell, you can beat. You must be able to beat Servet, even with it if it's with Doi and Bar at centre back. But you need a striker. You can play Bukalagis and Huang in midfield. Hell, Pepe might be a revelation in preseason. I don't know. Retsos might be a revelation in preseason.
There's no revelation
But up
coming.
front, you don't have players up front. You don't like El Arabi cannot play this system. Costulas is 16 years old. And here's the thing, my friends. Like you said, that do you buy a average good striker now and then avoid? We need two strikers. We can get two strikers this summer. We can get one now. And sell El Arabi, who's apparently talking to clubs in Morocco and the Arab world. Sell El Arabi, bring in a striker now, and then see if there's going to be a Bakambu type opportunity end of August, beginning of September that you can sign up, depending on whether we've made it to Europa League. Greg Sinanid is saying where the F is Dimitris Pinakas. I don't know where Pinakas is. I
think I saw him in Nalu as I was driving south. You know, I don't know. Having a cheeky beer and hookah. No, not gonna.
He's not with the team. Yeah. He's not with the team.
Of course not.
Aris B is also asking, is Canaan preseason? No, he's one of the 6, I think, players that are going to be training alone from the 6th of July. So the team leaves on the 5th to go to Austria.
You guys should hear this stuff about the players training alone. Some of these guys, it's so funny. They just they have no idea. They just called them and they're like, "Oh, show up July 6th in Piraeus. They're like, what am I gonna do on July 6th? They're like, we don't give a shit, just show up. Like, isn't that insane? If you're Dabo or Kane or I don't remember who the other ones are, but like the club is just like, yeah, we'll see you July 6th after everyone else has left, and you can just train here by yourself. It's got to be like the worst feeling in the world. Anyway,
That's what happens when you have 50-player roster, man. Like
yeah,
at the moment there are 22 players training with the first team. I think 5 or 6 of them are from the under 19 or under 23 team, and there are 8 coming back tomorrow. So that takes the total to 30 players, and then there are those 6 that are going to be training alone from the 6th of July. Henry Onyekuru, by the way, it seems is finally going to be activated. The option clause. It's insane. Like they had a supposed obligation to buy, and their president said, "Oh, maybe we'll trigger it." Reports in Turkey suggesting now that that's going to go through, so that will put 3.5 million in the coffers. Another reason, guys, that transfers have been slow, we mentioned this on socials, is there is a financial fair play element here. There are 2 key deadlines when it comes to financial fair play. One was on the 30th of June, and there's another one on the 15th of July. Those are all related to expenses of the last fiscal year. So there's something there as well. It's not been something that's been spoken or written about in mainstream media, but that is something to take into consideration as well. Next deadline being the 15th of July. So there's a question as well from Costas 23. Are we totally sure no transfers before Wednesday? Well, we can't be 100% sure. And if, in my view is that if any moves made before Wednesday, it could be a striker. In my view, I think that's really, for me at least, that's number one. Like, do you agree with that?
yeah, it has to be a striker, honestly, and it has to be, yeah, maybe it's a free transfer. I don't even know who they would go for. Um, Also, this financial fair play and money management and salary thing is something you won't hear in the media, but is something that is important. I'll leave it at that. No need to say more. So.
Costas says Maxi Gomez fits a lot the type of play Martinez favors. Maxi Gomez, Uruguayan. He's been capped with the Uruguay national teams, playing for Trabzonspor. I think he's 27. Is a good age. Scored 7 or 8 goals last season for Trabzonspor. Was at Valencia before. He's been in La Liga for a while. There's some rumors also about Trabzonspor wanting Zinkernagel. They wanted Masouras last season. Olympiacos isn't really a club that makes deals with exchanging. Like
Philip's not going to fucking Trabzonspor.
Yeah, I can't see
Philip
that.
is not going to. There is no way.
They're not in Europe either, are they?
No, there's no way. That is. If that happens, I'll be if he goes to Turkey in general, I'll be very surprised. Let's leave it at that. Anyway.
Some other interesting points being raised now about Abu Bakar Kamara, Thrilos Global. Hi guys. You guys are up early. Was it 7:15 over there now? Good morning, guys in Australia. Thrilos Global. Go and check those guys out as well. Man, after the shit that he pulled in the last game against us, where he nearly, he tried to fight our entire bench. I think he burnt that bridge. I know Martial has an opinion on this one. Like, he didn't really have a preseason last season. He came and he was injured and he was unfit. It's over for him, man. Like, do you gamble on that? I think, he burnt his own bridge. Like, he made his bed and now he's going to be training with the bulldozers on the 6th of July.
I joked about this. Honestly, the thing is, when we did our keep loan, I surprisingly said you need to keep him because you have nothing else. And we still don't have anything else. So I'm banking on us making a signing, because if no signing comes, it's going to look bad if El Arabi pulls his hamstring in the third preseason game and you do not have a fucking striker, right? That's like the nightmare scenario. The guy's 37 years old. He's always been slow to start in preseason.
Yeah.
Like, can we say that? He's
Yeah.
always been slow to start. Like, what if El Arabi picks up a knock and isn't ready for Servette? It's like the nightmare, you know? So
what do you do?
let's
What do you
see.
do then? Because hang on, there's a comment here. Look at my eyes, DC. He says Arda Güler is 18, and look at him now. Why everyone underestimates 16-year-old Costulas? Academy players need to be given chance. I don't disagree. Like, I would
Screw
love
it.
it,
Yeah.
but like, even if El Arabi gets injured, do you think we go with Costulas up front, or do you see Biel going up front?
No. This is Olympiacos. Let's be real.
Exactly. The answer to that
Also,
is
millions of euros are at play. Olympiacos won't play a youngster against Lamia at home after winning the title. They're going to play a young striker when 20 million euros is on the line. Does anyone believe that? No. So let's wake up from that.
I do really hope that this kid gets a chance.
I do too.
We know that things in the academy are running a little bit different now with Inigo and the French guys that he's brought in. And, you know, he's been the one that's spoken specifically about Costulas and Muzakitis by name, like in an interview, like on Greek TV. So, you know, look out for those guys, and we need to manage them properly. Spiros with a comment. I think Maxi Gomez will be the average quote unquote striker for now, and at the end of August we'll buy a better one. I kind of have that feeling maybe as well, but it looks like they're asking for about 4 to 5 million for Maxi Gomez. I think they signed him for 3, and they definitely want to recoup that money. You should also bear in mind that Marc Bartra is also a Trabzonspor player, former Spanish international, played for Barcelona, played for Dortmund. He's also wanted by us. So I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to read about another striker tomorrow in the press. You heard it here first. I would probably read some other names in the front pages. Costadino Steph says Zinc will go to Pedro Martins in Qatar. I very much doubt that. Kitsos. Some people are asking about Kitsos as well.
Kitsos may be tied to financial fair play, but you didn't hear it here. There's some mechanisms at play here with salary and with transfers that I think none of us understand right now, but some things, some levers, as they say in Barcelona, are being pulled. I think the Kitsos one is a way of working around it. Like, they sold him or gave him away, but there's a clause basically saying next year we're going to take him back, right? So we'll see. I'm not sure what to make about it. But also for striker, I thought about this too. Thrilos Global asked about, what do you think about a Greek international at Olympiacos like Pavlidis or Giacomakis? I was also thinking about this when we were thinking, wow, we need a cheap striker. We need someone fast. I was trying to think, like, is there a Greek striker or a striker in the league who you would take, you know? Like, is there a striker right now in the Greek Super League for a lower team and you'd be like, okay, screw it, let's take him?
No.
There's no one. There's no one. There's no one. I was thinking last year you have like Van Veert or whatever. Some years you have players like Manos or Dermishai or Douvikas but last season there was nothing. So Douvikas, Pavlidis, Giacomakis are way too expensive for Olympiacos now. And there's no one really in the league.
I wouldn't even take Giacomakis. I wouldn't even take
Giacomakis is for pushing a tractor, man. Like, he's not.
I'm not a huge fan. Like, on the contrary, I quite like Pavlidis, even though I think he's been a bit mediocre for the national team. Like, he's been banging goals at Alkmaar, but they're way out of our league in terms, like, financially speaking. Has to be said.
He's making good money in Atlanta. Like, he's like Vezenkov, baby. He's making that tax loophole money. So
There's a question about FFP from next year, so I'm gonna.
I think Adi answered the question in the
Yeah,
comment.
so I actually have this. We tweeted out that by the 2025-26 season, clubs will not be able to spend more than 70% of revenue on employee benefit expenses. While this past season had no restrictions, the upcoming season, so this season, will see us only allowed to spend 90% of revenue on wages, and then that will go from 90 to 70 in 2025. Whether those rules apply to Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, and Real Madrid, I don't know, but they'll definitely apply to us. So there's an answer to your questions here for
And
91.
he commented as well. He said, 3 straight seasons
Oh,
of
there you go.
equity injections with 3 straight seasons of losses. UEFA FFP look at 3-year balance sheets. Yeah. And regarding
Yeah.
Kitos, he says it clearly. You better believe it's tied to the wage cutting and FFP as well. So yeah, lots of players need to go.
I mean, officially it's a 2-year deal for Kitos, but I think one way or another we've kept some kind of.
This is some Greek shenanigans with the presidents.
It's like an atypical agreement that we have a first option for him to come back after 2 seasons, or possibly come back next summer. But I don't know. Yeah. There's nothing official on that, but you can read between the lines, and you heard our opinions on the Kitos issue as well. Okay, guys. Well, we're about an hour through the show now. We've talked basketball. We've talked a bit of football as well. Like and subscribe again, guys. What else do we got? Transfer rumors. Everyone wants to talk about bloody transfers. Of course, it's the summer. It's that time of year.
There's no real rumors. Like, what are the rumors, man? Like,
Samuel Mtiti's name is back.
Yeah, I listen to like Stamatelus on, and it's like literally like, let's just pass the time, on the radio. There's just nothing. I think Umtiti's name came up because he was linked last season.
Yep. He's a free agent now.
He's a free agent. He's left-footed. And they're like, okay, screw it. Like, throw his name in there. Maybe they're seriously looking at it. But yeah, let's see. I have no idea.
So who?
But I think the Bartra, the Mark Bartra rumors are strong. They seem to be the ones sticking around. The Maxi Gomez one is sticking around. I'm surprised
the other Spanish ones I don't buy. The other Spanish ones I don't buy.
I'm also wondering about. There's nothing about any 6. You haven't seen any rumor about a 6.
It's like Akwaku, the Betis, Ivory Coast. The one I was telling you about is a foreigner. I can't see it. I think we're
honestly just have the president pick up the phone and call the president of Nottingham Forest and bring in Freuler from Forest. President to president. That's your 6. And if you can't do that, make the call to John Joe Shelby and bring him in.
No, that's when I leave. That's when I leave. Please no. Please no.
Wasn't he tapped as the Steven Gerrard replacement back in the day?
Oh, God. Oh, dude, please no. Please no. I can't. John Joe Shelby will be a nightmare. I'm pulling my hair out just thinking about it. Okay. Like, could you imagine we sell Huang for 15 million on deadline day or like end of August? And then, breaking news, Sky News, John Joe Shelby signs for Olympiacos. Oh, my God.
Oh, Jesus.
I can't. Yeah. I won't be able to handle that. I really won't.
I
despise that player.
I'm still surprised there's no rumors of Scarpa coming to Olympiacos. I think later in the summer there could be some cooking.
I can't see it. Like Fortunis, Zincanago, Biel, Agibu, like you've
Yeah.
got players in and around that positions. Like
But it's just so funny. People gave a shit about this, but he came to Forest and they're like, what the fuck do we do with this guy? Like, it was so
they've got
clear.
they've got
Cooper
Weejo
was
Twang going back to Forest, by the way.
Ouija. Oh my God. And Bowler. But it's
Josh
just so
Bowler.
funny.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, Scarpa definitely signed by Forest in the plans. Like, what bullshit that was.
You
Anyway,
know, I'm glad you brought up Remo Freuler because I remember when the season was ending and they stayed up, I thought, let's have a look at that Forest squad and look at some of the names that might be linked this summer. And we know for a fact, like Remo Freuler was on the Forest. He was on the, let's say, the target list from the
yeah.
Atalanta games. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that the Olympiacos scouting team and the hierarchy likes the
Like
player.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't really do it for Forest last season. He got a
Yeah.
good stretch of back-to-back games from January to March, and then he was not starting for them. They started playing with Mangala and Danilo in midfield, and the Forest Academy player Ryan Yates. It was Yates, Mangala, and Danilo. And Freuler wasn't
That's
playing at the end of last season.
yeah.
He would be brilliant. He'd be brilliant. He's like close to that kind of Guilherme metronome kind of six. That would
Yeah.
be, I'd take that on a 1 year loan, no issues. Like, bring it. That would be a fantastic move.
Mm.
Anyone watching from the Olympiacos board, like, try and do something about it, guys. Like, get Remo
Yeah.
Freuler over. Seriously.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
Well, we have a poll going as well. We asked you, do you think we can qualify for Europe with the players we have now? If you haven't voted yet, get in there right now. 47% of you say yes, 53% say no. That's for European qualification. What else have we got? Just looking through
Not
the comments.
much. Like we say, Cordon has not given us much on content. So
No, but do you know what? Like, I personally, like, I don't have an issue with it. I think
I
that
don't either.
he also, I think he needs to keep his cards close to his chest and be careful. I think we've made enough mistakes, particularly last season, being trigger happy with signings. Last season, this time last year, we'd signed players like Gonzalo Avila, Sime Versalico. Those were the first.
AK-47.
Those were the kinds of players that were coming in. Denis Aliyegic, where are they? Yeah, so I'm personally okay with the more cautious, smart approach. And for fuck's sake, like one thing I will say is that nobody needs to reread Cordon's biography. Where he's worked. Navarro, his assistant as well, who was the head chief scout at Betis, and he was a scout at Sevilla before. Like, these guys know the market.
It's a nice. They've made some nice signings, some nice football. They've played. Yeah.
The one thing that may worry me a little bit is the fact that, do these guys really know where they landed? Because it's like they're operating like they're working in a La Liga team in Spain, but this is Greece, and you can't attract players like the ones that we're going on Darder like now. Maybe if he hasn't found anything by the end of August, maybe you can go in for him and have a realistic chance. But that's the only slight thing that I'm cautious about, is that, have these guys really understood like the differences here? That might be a steep learning curve for them, but I'm tending to be on the optimistic side that they're working in the shadows and things will happen. And I guess the next milestone now is to see who's in the list of players traveling to Austria.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to have any cuts or any surprises?
Surely there's no cuts in 3 days. Though the decision will be already made. No way Diego Martinez brings in Joao Carvalho and he says, okay, you're cut after I saw you do some dynamic stretching for 2 days. Like there's no way decisions are made like that. So,
So you think players like
um,
Joao Carvalho and Pepe will go to Austria?
what I think will happen, what could happen is they'll say, oh, they've been cut, but they were decided before they were cut, maybe. So,
Yeah, it's like this thing that we were talking about last year. Is that do you decide to cut players that you could sell, and if you decide to cut them, then they're not in the window. Like their
yeah.
teams can't see them.
But then you
Yeah, so
bring them and
you take them to preseason, see them in the friendlies, maybe give them minutes if they deserve it in the qualifiers, and then a club can see them and say he's an active player, he's been in preseason. If you leave them and they're not even training with the team, then that decreases the market value as well, and we want the market value to be high. So I have a
you
feeling that
also don't
we're
want dead bodies around, you want to make a good climate. You don't want like dead bodies who are like, they're gonna get rid of me. What am I doing here? I don't want to be here. You don't want the dead bodies as well. I've always said that. So
yeah.
you have to balance it somehow. Like, so if you're bringing Joao Carvalho and Pepe with you, um, some of you guys may disagree with this, but they need to believe like if I play good and prove myself, I'm gonna stay. They can't be brought just to be brought because then they're gonna be pouting, then they're gonna be ruining the atmosphere. So if these guys come, they can't be dead bodies. They need to be like I'm going for a roster position, as realistic as that is. Who knows? But they can't go just to go, in my opinion, because that's also dangerous. And back to the general point, the only worry I have about Cordon and Martinez is what I worry. I have a lot of people when they come to Olympiacos is, are they being a little too green? Like you said, are they being a bit too naive? And this thing of signing players in August, that's when the good deals are. The fact is, and I don't know if Cordon and Martinez have dealt with this, but when you have the qualifiers in August, you kind of want the body of the team that you're going to go into the season with made in those qualifiers. Because if you win all of the qualifiers and you make the group stage, that launches your season. We've seen it so many times where the confidence you take from these qualifiers, you win the games. Like you look at that Martins season 2019-2020, and I swear the confidence that the team won in those qualifiers drove it to be the team that it became. Like these games can launch and make a season. And I don't know if they understand that yet. So that's my one worry. But I have faith. Even if we go out versus Servette, which I really hope doesn't happen, um, we're gonna just have to trust the process because shit is still fucked, right? Like, let's not forget last season. You know, like we're not all flowers and roses now. Like last season was a nightmare. That doesn't end in 3 months. So yeah, that's
No,
it.
and as somebody pointed out earlier, this manager's on a 2 million a year contract. He's not Pedro Martins that came in on 500K or 350K or whatever it was, and he's not Corberan either, who was in on a small contract. This guy's in on a big contract. Obviously, we want to hope that if it's Servette, we play, because it's not for sure. Could be Bruges, but sorry, Genk. Likely is it's Genk are going to beat Servette, we think. Let's see. At least we should get Conference League football. This is another issue we've talked about on the show. I have no problem if we play Conference League football. I think it could be better for us this first season. The first season's always building up to the second season. I'm looking at this more from a long-term perspective. Anyway, that's maybe a conversation that we can come back to another time. You got something to say? Something to
Also,
add?
let me just say the difference between Servette and Genk. Servette is worth maybe 22, 23 million euros on Transfermarkt. Genk is around 130 million euros, I think I read.
Yeah.
The difference is big.
Yeah.
And also, I want to read something. We spoke with some people in Spain, and when Diego Martinez signed, a guy said he's actually one of the better young coaches, Spanish coaches around these days, and there are quite a lot of good Spanish coaches these days. Like the fan base should be quite happy. Diego Martinez is a good pull for Olympiacos. So,
what one of the journalists that we spoke to in Spain said that it was a steal.
yeah.
It was a steal, were his words. So
He was like Martins. He was ready to launch to the Premier League and bigger and better, and then the Espanyol job killed him. It was like Martins was ready to launch something, and that last year killed him. So
yeah.
it can happen in football, and he gets a reprieve anyway.
Well, like you say, trust the process. You always need a bit of luck. I remember that first season when we got Burnley, I think in the playoffs of the Europa League, and it started with a Fortunis free kick at home that kind of opened them up, and we won 3-0 in the end. So luck is, of course, always a factor. Every new coach, new personnel, they need a bit of luck coming into this situation. I think we've had plenty of it go against us. Maybe it's time that the pendulum swung the other way finally, and that requires us to make good decisions too, of course. Aris P, just tackling a few more comments. Rajelovic is one of the 6 players that won't be traveling to preseason, so he'll be training with the Bulldozers at Ready from the 6th of July. Christos is asking about Umtiti. We talked about him a little bit earlier. It's probably one of those names that's being linked because we were linked with him last summer too, and we're looking for a left-footed centre-back. He played around 30 games for Lecce last season, so he didn't have any major injury issues as he's had in the past. He played a full season, but that's only Serie A, so he didn't play any European games. It was just domestically focused. But we'll see. It's still very early on. The transfer window officially opened yesterday, so we've still got a long way ahead of us. But I think we're going to draw this one to a close, Labro, unless you something else to add.
No, I don't have anything.
Cuadrado, Alex is bringing up, Juventus winger, 35 years old. Yeah, he's been linked. We read that in the press. Who knows? We read about Cuadrado. The fact that he's 35 doesn't turn me off particularly, though I haven't seen him play much recently. So I don't know.
I don't want any big name over 35 years old, or I can't do it again, man, with fucking Vezenkov, Marcelo, James. I can't.
I'm actually, when we close up, I'm going to go and have a look at how many games he actually played for Juve last season.
I don't care. I just don't want anyone over 36 years old or 35 again. Like, I can't take another BAM. I can't. Thank you. Scaramanga is with me.
Olympiacos needs to get younger and faster, says Mr. Scaramanga.
I'm with you completely.
I think that's the perfect way to end the show tonight. Thanks very much, ladies and gents, for tuning in. Oh, and we've got got our boys on the ground ready. 47 games Cuadrado played for Juve last season, apparently. Okay, but I don't think he really fits into the Marcelo or James Rodriguez category
No,
personally.
he seems fit. He seems fit, but
Yeah,
I just,
but
regardless, I just don't want to do this anymore. Big
like,
salary.
yeah. But guys, thanks very much for tuning in tonight. We've gone on almost an hour and a half. Like if you haven't done so already, last chance to do that before you leave the live stream. Hit that like button. It takes less than a second and it doesn't cost you anything. If you'd like to leave us a donation, by the way, please feel free to do that as well. We love having those and reinvesting it back into the pod. Like and subscribe, hit the bell so that you don't miss future episodes. We'll be back for sure next Sunday, as always. Until then, guys, have a lovely evening, good night, good morning to those of you that are waking up in Australia, wherever you are. We are Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. We'll see you next time.